The smell of bacon should make any man hungry, but that Tuesday morning it made my stomach turn like I'd swallowed motor oil. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold my coffee mug without spilling. For 35 years as a mechanical engineer, I'd built precision machinery that could cut steel to the thousandth of an inch. Now I couldn't even grip a ceramic cup steady. My name is Gerald Hoffman. I'm 58 years old, and until last week I thought I was losing my mind. Turns out I wasn't losing my mind, I was being murdered. Victor Reynolds, my son-in-law, walked into my kitchen like he owned the place. He didn't say good morning, hell, he barely looked at me. Just tossed an airline ticket on my kitchen table like he was dealing cards. "You're going to Florida tomorrow, Gerald," he said. Not asked, not suggested, ordered. I looked at the ticket one way. He wasn't sending me on vacation. He was shipping me out like damaged goods. Florida? My voice came out weak and raspy. "What's in Florida? Rest," Victor said, pouring himself orange juice from my refrigerator. "Dr. Nash says your episodes are getting worse. The warm weather will be good for you. I found a nice, assisted living place. Everything's arranged." I looked across the table at my daughter Patricia, my beautiful girl who used to climb on my shoulders to change light bulbs. She wouldn't meet my eyes. She knew this wasn't about my health. "Patricia?" I said softly. "You agree with this?" She flinched like I'd slapped her. "Dad, it's for your own good. You left the stove on yesterday. You put your wallet in the freezer last week. We can't watch you 24/7. I hadn't left any stove on. I'm an engineer. Precision is my life. But lately, strange things were happening. Keys going missing. My prescription bottles moving around. This constant dizziness that Dr. Nash dismissed as getting older. The night before, I'd gone to bed with my reading glasses on the nightstand, same place I'd put them for 20 years. Woke up and they were in the refrigerator, sitting next to the milk. Patricia said I must have sleepwalked. Victor just shook his head like I was already gone. "Fine," I said. "I'll go." The relief on Victor's face was instant. He smiled and patted my shoulder like I was a good dog. "Smart choice, Gerald. Don't worry about the house. We'll take care of everything." I bet you will, I thought. The house. My house. The one I'd bought with my Navy discharge pay and rebuilt from the foundation up. Dorothy and I had spent 25 years turning it into our dream home. She'd been gone 2 years now, cancer taking her piece by piece, and this house was all I had left of our life together. The next morning, I let Victor load my bags into his car. I got in, waved goodbye to them standing on my porch. Patricia looked like she was about to cry. Victor looked like Christmas morning. As soon as we turned the corner, I leaned forward to the driver. "Change of plans," I said, holding up a $100 bill. "Don't take me to the airport, take me to Maple Street." The driver looked confused, but money talks. 20 minutes later, I was standing in front of a rundown apartment building 3 blocks from my house. I'd rented a room online using an old email Victor didn't know about, the same one I used for my model airplane hobby. The place smelled like cigarettes and regret, but it had one thing I needed, a perfect view of my front door. I climbed 3 flights of stairs, my knees protesting every step. The room was smaller than my garage, with peeling wallpaper and a window that hadn't been cleaned since the Clinton administration. But when I pulled back that grimy curtain, there it was, my house, my life. I set up my old Navy binoculars, the same ones I'd used for reconnaissance in the Persian Gulf, and waited. For hours, nothing happened. The house looked peaceful, normal, like the home where I'd raised my daughter and buried my wife. Then around 6 p.m. I saw something that made my blood freeze. Cars started pulling up, expensive ones, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus. Men in suits got out carrying briefcases and duffel bags. Victor opened my front door like he was welcoming them to his country club. What the hell was going on in my house? I watched through the binoculars as more cars arrived. These weren't neighbors coming for a barbecue. These were predators in $1,000 suits, and Victor was herding them into my living room like sheep. Around midnight, I made my move. Years of Navy training don't just disappear because you hit 58. I slipped out through the building's back exit and moved through the shadows of my own neighborhood. Every dog knew me, every fence was familiar. This was my territory. I used the old garden gate key that Dorothy had hidden under a loose brick 15 years ago. The lock was rusty, but it still turned. I crept through Dorothy's rose garden, past the fountain I'd installed for our 20th anniversary, and up to the living room window. What I saw through that window made me want to vomit. My living room was gone. The furniture Dorothy and I had picked out over 30 years was pushed against the walls. In the center were poker tables, green felt gleaming under my chandelier. The air was thick with cigar smoke. Men were throwing cash around like confetti, using my antique coffee table as a betting surface. But that wasn't what nearly stopped my heart. Above the fireplace, where Dorothy's portrait used to hang, the oil painting I'd commissioned for our 25th anniversary was a flat-screen TV showing poker odds and betting lines. My wife's painting was nowhere to be seen. I watched Victor standing on my dining room table, the one where we'd eaten Christmas dinners for 3 decades. He was holding up items from my study, auctioning them off to the highest bidder, my grandfather's pocket watch collection, my Navy medals. Dorothy's jewelry. The rage hit me like a physical blow. I started to stand up, ready to storm in there and beat Victor senseless with my bare hands. Then the dizziness hit again, harder than ever before. My vision blurred, the world tilted sideways. My legs gave out and I collapsed in Dorothy's rose bushes, thorns cutting through my jacket. As I lay there gasping for air, something clicked in my engineering brain. The dizziness, the shaking hands, the nausea, the confusion. This wasn't age, this wasn't stress, this was systematic poisoning. I managed to crawl back to the apartment building, my knees screaming in protest. Helen Martinez, my 70-year-old neighbor who'd lived in this neighborhood longer than God, was waiting in the hallway like she knew I'd be coming back bloody. "I knew you weren't stupid, Gerald," she said, helping me to her door. Her grip was stronger than mine, and that scared me more than anything I'd seen tonight. She sat me down in her kitchen and handed me a small brown bottle with no label. "Found this in your trash yesterday morning." Victor scraped the label off, but I know what it is. I turned the bottle in my shaking hands. It was prescription medication, but the label had been peeled away so cleanly it left only glue residue. "What is it?" I asked. "Lorazepam, high dose. My late husband Harold took it for anxiety. But the doctor warned us too much makes you confused, makes your hands shake, screws with your memory. Perfect for making an old man look like he's losing his mind. The pieces click together like gears in a machine. The morning coffee that Victor always insisted on making, the dinner plates he'd clear before I finished eating, the vitamins he'd started bringing me for my health. Why would he want me confused? I asked, though part of me already knew, so you can't fight back when he takes the house, Gerald. He needs you looking incompetent, so when he gets power of attorney, nobody questions it. Judge sees a shaky old man who puts his wallet in the freezer, case closed. Helen leaned forward, her eyes hard as steel. But here's what Victor doesn't know. I've been watching that boy for 3 years, ever since he married your Patricia. Expensive cars coming and going at all hours, men in suits who don't belong in this neighborhood, phone calls on the porch where he thinks nobody can hear. What kind of phone calls? The kind where he talks about owing money to dangerous people. The kind where he promises he'll have it soon, just needs a little more time. I felt sick, not from the drugs this time, but from understanding. Victor wasn't just stealing my house, he was using it to save his own skin. What do? I asked. Helen's face softened, but only slightly. You're an engineer, Gerald. You built bridges that could hold 10 times their rated load. Time to build a trap that can hold one lying piece of garbage. She was right. I'd spent 35 years calculating stress loads and failure points. Time to engineer Victor's downfall. I spent the next 3 days planning, like it was a military operation. First, I called Arthur Williams, my old buddy from the police force who'd retired as a detective. We'd served together in the Navy before going our separate ways, him to law enforcement, me to engineering, Gerald. "What the hell are you doing in that flophouse?" Arthur asked when I explained my situation. "Building a case," I said, "but I need help with the technical side." Arthur understood immediately. "Surveillance?" "The full package, video, audio, digital forensics. I want this bastard's confession recorded in 4K high definition." Next, I contacted Margaret Stone, Dorothy's lawyer. Margaret had handled our wills and estate planning, and she knew every legal trick in the book. "Gerald, are you safe?" was her first question for now. "But I need to move fast. Can you set up a consultation for tomorrow? I'll clear my afternoon." The third call was to some Navy buddies who'd gone into private security after discharge. They knew about surveillance equipment that could hide in a grain of rice and transmit for miles. Within 48 hours, I had everything I needed. Cameras smaller than shirt buttons, microphones that could pick up whispers through walls, recording devices that would make the CIA jealous. But before I could set my trap, I had to go home and play the part of the confused old man Victor thought I was. I shuffled back to my house on Friday morning, carrying my suitcase and wearing my best lost puppy expression. Victor opened the door with fake concern plastered across his face. "Gerald, we were so worried. Why didn't you call from Florida?" Florida. I blinked at him like I'd never heard the word before. I thought I was going to see my sister in Ohio. The relief in Victor's eyes was disgusting. He thought the drugs were working better than expected. "Come on, let's get you inside. You look tired." For the next 2 days, I played my part perfectly. I shuffled around the house, mumbled conversations with empty chairs, and even wet myself once in the hallway just to sell the act. Victor ate it up. He was so convinced I was losing it that he got careless. He started making phone calls right in front of me, talking to someone named Marcus about debts and deadlines. He called Dr. Nash to schedule another evaluation for Monday morning. He even started openly discussing his plans for the house with Patricia, thinking I was too far gone to understand. What Victor didn't know was that every conversation was being recorded. Every room was wired for sound and video. Arthur had helped me install equipment so sophisticated it would make NASA jealous. On Sunday night, I was supposedly upstairs sleeping off my confusion, but I was actually in the basement monitoring everything through my laptop. The poker game was already in full swing upstairs. I had live feeds of Victor dealing cards, taking cuts from each pot, running an illegal gambling operation worth tens of thousands of dollars. Then I heard him in the kitchen talking on his cell phone to someone he called Marcus. "Yeah, the old man's finally cracking," Victor said, thinking I was unconscious upstairs. "Doc's coming Monday to sign the papers. Once I get power of attorney, I'll liquidate everything. The house, his savings, the insurance money from his wife. Should clear my debt with you plus give me a nice cushion." My hands clenched into fists. Dorothy's life insurance, the money I'd saved for Patricia's future children. He was planning to steal it all. "What about the daughter?" the voice asked through the speaker. Victor laughed. "Patricia? She'll do whatever I tell her. She's so scared of Daddy getting hurt, she'd sign his death certificate if I asked nice enough. That hurt worse than any physical blow. My little girl wasn't evil, she was just weak and scared and married to a predator who was using her love against both of us. But I had him now, on tape, confessing to fraud, elder abuse, and running illegal gambling. Time to spring the trap. Monday morning arrived like Judgment Day. Dr. Nash showed up at 9 a.m. sharp with his little black bag and fake bedside manner. Victor had the power of attorney papers ready to sign, spread out on my dining room table like an execution warrant. They sat me down in the living room, Victor on my right, the crooked doctor on my left, both of them vultures circling what they thought was a dying man. "Now, Gerald," Dr. Nash said in that patronizing voice doctors use on mental patients, "we're here because your family is concerned about your cognitive decline. These papers will ensure you get the best care possible." I looked at the papers through my reading glasses, letting my hands shake just enough to sell the act. The documents would give Victor complete control of my life, my assets, my medical decisions, everything I'd worked 35 years to build. In the corner of my eye, I could see the tiny red light of the hidden camera Arthur had installed in the smoke detector. Every word was being recorded in crystal clear audio and video. "I understand," I said, picking up the pen with trembling fingers. Victor leaned forward, practically drooling with anticipation. "Just sign right there, Gerald. It's all for your own good." I positioned the pen over the signature line. Victor's breathing got faster. Dr. Nash adjusted his glasses, ready to witness what he thought was easy money. Instead of Gerald Hoffman, I wrote Mickey Mouse in big, clear letters. Dr. Nash blinked hard, like his eyes were playing tricks on him. "Gerald, that's not your name." "Of course it's my name," I said, looking directly at the hidden camera. "I'm Mickey Mouse, and this is my clubhouse. These two gentlemen are trying to steal my cheese." Victor went pale as a corpse. "Gerald, what are you doing?" "Demonstrating cognitive awareness," I said, standing up straighter than I had in weeks. My voice dropped the confused old man tremor and became the clear, authoritative tone I'd used to command respect on construction sites for decades. Any competent doctor would recognize that a man who can write Mickey Mouse clearly and make coherent jokes about cartoon characters is not suffering from dementia. He's making a conscious choice not to sign legal documents under duress. I turned to Dr. Nash, whose face was turning interesting shades of red. A real doctor would also wonder why a patient's symptoms only appear during family visits and why those symptoms match the side effects of benzodiazepine overdoses rather than natural cognitive decline. The room went dead silent, except for the hum of the recording equipment they didn't know about. "Victor," I continued, my engineer's mind clicking through the evidence like a checklist, "would you like to explain to Dr. Nash why there are poker chips under my couch? Or why my medicine cabinet has been tampered with? Or why the FBI is currently reviewing 72 hours of video footage showing you running an illegal gambling operation in my living room?" That's when Victor snapped. He lunged at me with a roar of pure rage, but 35 years of staying in Navy shape pays off. I sidestepped like a matador, and he crashed face first into my bookshelf, sending Dorothy's ceramic collection crashing to the floor. "Patricia," he screamed, blood running from his nose. "Help me. Your father's completely lost his mind, but Patricia wasn't there. She was 3 miles away at the police station with Arthur, watching video footage of her husband systematically poisoning her father and stealing everything he'd ever worked for." Dr. Nash tried to make a run for it, but his legs were 20 years older than his greed. He made it about halfway to the door before Arthur's backup arrived. The FBI showed up exactly on schedule because Arthur had coordinated the timing down to the minute. They found the doctored medication bottles, the illegal gambling equipment still set up in my basement, and Victor's financial records showing $45,000 in debts to a loan shark named Marcus Leone. Victor's defense fell apart faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. The recordings showed him bragging about his plan. The medical evidence proved systematic poisoning. The financial records showed motive. Dr. Nash tried to claim he didn't know about the illegal gambling, but the surveillance footage showed him collecting money from Victor after each evaluation. Hard to claim ignorance when you're on video taking bribes. The trial was beautiful in its simplicity. The prosecution had video evidence, audio recordings, medical proof, financial records, and Victor's own bragging voice laying out his entire scheme. His defense attorney tried to claim he was under duress from loan sharks, but the recordings clearly showed him gloating about how easy it was to fool the senile old man. Victor's face when they played that recording in court was worth every sleepless night I'd spent planning his downfall. He looked like a man watching his own execution, which in a way he was. The judge wasn't impressed by Victor's crocodile tears. "Mr. Reynolds, you preyed upon a vulnerable elderly person who trusted you as family. You violated that trust in the most despicable way possible. You poisoned him, gaslit him, and attempted to steal his life's work while he was grieving his wife's death." Victor got 7 years federal time for elder abuse, fraud, and running an illegal gambling operation. Dr. Nash got 3 years for conspiracy and practicing medicine under false pretenses. Both sentences were longer than their lawyers had hoped for, but the judge made it clear that elder abuse would not be tolerated in his courtroom. Patricia was charged as an accessory, but the evidence showed she was more victim than accomplice. The recordings proved Victor had been manipulating her fears about my health, convincing her I was truly declining when I was actually being drugged. She got probation and mandatory counseling. The hardest part wasn't watching Victor get handcuffed. It was seeing Patricia break down in the courtroom when she realized how completely she'd been manipulated. My strong, intelligent daughter reduced to a sobbing mess because she'd trusted the wrong man. But that's what predators do. They find the vulnerabilities in good people and exploit them until those people don't recognize themselves anymore. It took months of family therapy, but Patricia and I are slowly rebuilding what Victor tried to destroy. She understands now that love doesn't mean enabling someone's abuse, and I understand that she was as much a victim as I was. Different kind of poison, same result. She visits every Sunday now, usually bringing her new boyfriend, a high school teacher named David who actually listens when I tell stories about my Navy days. He asks good questions about engineering, treats Patricia with respect, and doesn't see dollar signs when he looks around my house. Revolutionary concept, apparently. As for me, I kept the house, of course, had the locks changed, upgraded the security system, and turned Victor's old office into a workshop where I build model ships. Something peaceful about working with my hands again, creating instead of destroying. The insurance settlement came to $85,000 for emotional distress and property damage. Not enough to buy a yacht, but enough to make some changes. I donated half to the National Center on Elder Abuse, an organization that helps older folks avoid financial scams. Figure, if my suffering can help one other family avoid what we went through, it's worth something. The other half went into a trust fund for Patricia's future children. She doesn't know about it yet, but when the time comes, they'll have money for college that no con artist husband can touch. Sometimes the best revenge is making sure the next generation is protected from the mistakes of this one. Marcus Leone, the loan shark Victor owed money to, tried to come after me for the debt. Apparently in his twisted logic, since I was Victor's father-in-law, I was somehow responsible for his gambling losses. Arthur introduced him to some federal agents who were very interested in his business practices. Amazing how quickly dangerous people find religion when they're facing RICO charges. Last I heard, Marcus was running a car wash in Phoenix and keeping his nose extremely clean. The house itself needed some work after the FBI raid. They're thorough, but they're not gentle with your furniture when they're looking for evidence. I hired a local contractor to repair the damage and added a few improvements while we were at it. New hardwood floors in the living room where the poker tables had scratched up Dorothy's original work. Fresh paint in every room to cover the cigarette smoke stains. Most importantly, I had Dorothy's portrait restored and rehung above the fireplace. The art restorer said the damage wasn't as bad as it looked, just some surface tears that could be fixed. Dorothy's smile is back where it belongs, watching over the house she loved so much. Helen Martinez became more than a neighbor. She became family. We have coffee every Tuesday morning and watch the neighborhood from her front porch like a couple of retired spies. She's got eyes like a hawk and a memory like a steel trap. Any suspicious activity within 3 blocks, Helen knows about it before the police do. She was right about one thing: I did know how to build traps. But the most important thing I learned is that the best defense against predators isn't locks or cameras or legal documents. It's community. People who care enough to pay attention when something doesn't seem right. 6 months after the trial, I'm healthier than I've been in years. Turns out when you stop getting drugged daily, your energy comes back pretty quickly. My hands are steady again. My mind is sharp. I can hold a coffee cup without spilling and remember where I put my reading glasses. The irony isn't lost on me. Victor spent months trying to convince everyone I was losing my mental faculties, when in reality his poisoning was the only thing making me seem confused. Remove the poison, and you've got a 58-year-old retired engineer with 35 years of problem-solving experience and a burning desire for justice. Patricia asked me recently if I was angry about losing 2 years of my life to Victor's scheme. The truth is, I didn't lose anything. I gained something more valuable than time or money. I learned exactly who I could trust when everything was on the line. The funny thing is, Victor thought he was so smart. He had this whole plan worked out, thought an old Navy engineer would be easy prey. But he made the same mistake that sinks most criminals. He underestimated his target. He saw an aging widower and thought vulnerable victim. He should have seen a man who'd spent decades calculating stress loads and failure points. Someone who knew exactly how to identify the weak spots in any system and exploit them until the whole structure came tumbling down. Every bridge I ever designed had backup systems, redundant supports, multiple load paths. If one part failed, the rest could carry the weight until repairs could be made. Victor's plan had no backup systems. His greed was a single point of failure, and when I put enough pressure on it, his entire scheme collapsed. I still get Christmas cards from some of the FBI agents who worked the case. They said it was one of the most thoroughly documented elder abuse cases they'd ever prosecuted. Apparently, my engineering background made me unusually good at gathering and organizing evidence in a way that prosecutors could use effectively. Arthur retired for real after Victor's case, but we still get together once a month to play poker. Friendly games with penny stakes, nothing like the high-stakes operation Victor was running in my living room. Arthur always jokes that I'm the only guy he knows who turned his own house into a crime scene just to catch the criminal. If you're reading this and you're worried about someone in your family who might be taking advantage of an older relative, trust your instincts. Document everything. Don't suffer in silence. And remember, just because someone calls you family doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart. Real family protects each other. Real family doesn't slip drugs into your morning coffee while planning to steal your life savings. Real family doesn't turn your home into a crime scene while you're supposedly deteriorating upstairs. I'm 58 years old, my house is paid for, my health is good, and my conscience is clear. Victor's 36 and learning that federal prison food doesn't taste nearly as good as the meals he used to steal from my kitchen table. Dorothy used to say that good things come to those who wait, but better things come to those who plan. She was right about that, just like she was right about most things. I waited long enough to gather evidence, but I planned carefully enough to make sure justice was served. Sometimes experience beats youth. Sometimes wisdom trumps arrogance. Sometimes the old guys know a thing or two about building traps that the young predators never see coming. And that's exactly how it should be. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire, and the wisest man is shaped by the deepest betrayal, but only if he refuses to let either one break him. They thought they were burying an old man, but what they actually did was plant the seeds of their own destruction in ground that belonged to someone who knew how to make things grow.